In your experience, how much of a problem is selling ADHD medication in school?
Not a huge problem. It's a problem. It's something that we can't document. It's something that we can't find out about because, of course, the kids are hiding it from us. But it is a problem. It's a problem because it's a stimulant, it's legal, and the kids might give it away for free or might use it with their friends. So, yeah, it is a problem.
How many genuine ADHD students would you say abuse their medication?
Oh, that's very difficult. Very difficult to say. And of course, there's a time and place element to that question. They would use it normally throughout a week, and then maybe at a party or something, they may choose to abuse it. What I find in my practice is them supplying it to other kids as a stimulant for them to get high. Because then when they run out, they just go back and tell their folks that they lost part of the prescription or whatever. So that's normally the type of abuse that I would see.
Okay. Do you think that ADHD medications are overprescribed?
Looking at the research, we have in British Columbia and in the Okanagan in particularly, we have a lot of prescriptions that it tends to be a panacea for a lot of people, right? We'll diagnose it, we'll give it a name, and then we'll give it a drug to treat it, which is how we deal with things. And as a teacher, which I am also, it's simple, right? You got a problem, here's a drug, let's fix it. Causing more confusion with the kids that if I have a problem, I will use a drug. In this particular case, we refer to their medication that the kids are on as a medicine, and they use their medicine. When it's abused, it becomes a drug or an illicit drug. So I can't speak to the fact whether it's overprescribed. I would guess it might be in some cases.
Okay. What effects do ADHD drugs have on normal teens, and how would they usually ingest these drugs?
Well, it's a stimulant. So it would be very stimulating for kids that don't need it as a medication and use it as a drug. So they would sniff it or consume it, so take the pill. A lot of kids will grind it down and sniff it and get the quick high because it goes to the brain a lot quicker.
Okay. What are your thoughts on ADHD medication as a gateway drug?
That's a tough one. I haven't thought about that as a gateway drug, but I assume I purposely use with my kids, when they take a medicine, we call it a medicine. We don't call it a drug. We try to make that differentiation between kids using drugs, because it causes confusion, drugs, and here you have an ear infection, here's a drug. I prefer, here you have an ear infection, here's a medication that the doctor has prescribed. Where the confusion comes in is with the kids, that was also prescribed by a doctor, so they think it's safe, which is why we have a lot more of abuse of opiates and Oxycontin and those kinds of things, because the kids think that's a lot safer medicine that was prescribed for mom or whatever, that they can abuse it. And because a doctor gave it, it's probably clean and it's probably a lot safer than other drugs. And when it's used for non-prescription purposes, that is not the fact.
Okay. Have you seen any increase in prescriptions since you started in your line of work?
In ADHD meds?
Yes.
Yeah. I was a learning assistance teacher, and I tell you, I sat for a long time debating whether we should be drugging these kids or not. And kids with ADHD, and if you look very carefully at them, generally speaking, from what I've seen in my experience, is they don't have a lot of friends because they have control issues, impulse issues, and it drives the other kids crazy. So it was always, I would think about it, and I would argue with myself, is it better to medicate these kids and allow them to calm and do their schoolwork and have friends, or let them suffer, because that's what they do, without taking their meds. So I always think if it's prescribed and the doctor has done a good job screening whether it's appropriate, then take your meds. Another mistake parents make is they decide unilaterally, so without talking to a physician, that during the summer they're going to take the kids off the meds. It's not the right thing to do. Meds are meds, and the kids, moods will go like this over the summertime, and then they try and reintroduce it, and it's problematic. So I've had parents in the past say, well, we don't do it on the weekend, we don't use the medicine on these other times. If it's a prescription, take it as prescribed, because it will help the child be more successful in school. Again, if it's appropriate, and if it works for the kid, which is something we should also check on a lot more. Is it working? Because again, it's not the magic bullet. It's just something we use to enhance the kid's ability to be successful at school.
Perfect. Thank you
All right.
so much for your time. You're very informative.
My pleasure.